What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. They do have their earnings after hours today, so I want to give you a quick summary of some expectations that you need to just be aware of. Aside from that, what the current data points are saying. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is down 4.76%, kind of piggybacking off of just the broader blood in the market. And can you really blame them? Even SoundHound itself is up 23.87%. over the last 5 days, and that's encumbering the 4.83% red day today. So a lot of stocks got their time in the sun. A lot of big money started to look for value plays. So the fact that SoundHound did participate in that shows that there is a lot more upside anticipated. And with their earnings coming out after hours today, that could be kind of the opportunity to really prompt SoundHound to go higher. So as of right now, -7 cents is that earnings per share, and 23.03 million for the revenue. So a huge bump up from last earnings. So I don't know if analysts are somehow setting them up for failure by kind of raising it so high, but we'll just have to wait and see. Over the last 90 days, 1 positive and 3 negative revisions to the earnings per share by analysts. And just to give you a quick overview, the earnings per share does represent 24.08% year-over-year growth. Low end is -9, high is -5. That's based on 6 analysts. Moving over to revenue, that does represent 73.56% year-over-year growth, 21.2 mil for the low end, 25.5 for the high, and that's based on 7 analysts. So this is exactly what I've been stating. I've been saying this time and time again at $5, and that this was a screaming buying opportunity if you think bigger picture. Because looking at what analysts are expecting, even aside from this 73% growth, year-over-year growth, you're having triple-digit returns anticipated. So that's the type of stock that you want to be invested in. And even based on analysts right now, they are anticipating, based on this, like a consensus of $8.50, the price target among all of them. And that's encumbering the crappy ones, $6 and $7 ratings. So even that alone does represent a 15.25% upside. So yeah, I think this upcoming earnings might be that kind of defining point that sets SoundHound into possibly double digits, and from there there might be no looking back. With their earnings though, the implied volatility is roughly 21.14% in either direction. So just anticipate a lot of volatility at the end of the day. And the unique thing with SoundHound is that it is somewhat heavily shorted. Although shorts aren't really doing all that much right now. Shorts are kind of returning 1,000 shares or 2,000 shares. So technically going over here, there's around 250,000 shares available to be shorted. So if they really did feel today was justified of a pullback, they could kind of like piggyback off of that and really double down, but they're not. So I see that as rather optimistic. And with their upcoming earnings, shorts, it could see a squeeze, possibly, again, dependent on the data and what they give for future guidance. But 24.8% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 78.58 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 11.17, then utilization is 90.68%. So yeah, shorts have been kind of sticking around with SoundHound for a while now, so that might really work negatively for them. One thing that SoundHound will have to bring up is this over here. So the recent documents, so the prospectus and Form 8K that they did submit on November the 8th. So ultimately $120 million worth of shares of common stock. So it's not the best. Bad timing. It does have a average price. So the price is $6.95. That's what the last reported on November the 7th was, but it's an S3, so they can technically do it periodically over a 3-year time span. But yeah, I think this isn't that good of news. Typically though, whenever a company does this type of kind of situation leading into their earnings, at least they're going to talk on something big that might be coming out that they're going to use this money for. So again, that's a lot of speculation, but that could come to fruition. We'll just have to wait and see. Moving over to options. So 7.55 million in calls so far within around 2 hours of the trading day, 1.88 million in puts. 48% of all the options being done so far today are bearish, and of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $10, possibly even $12 by this Friday. So a hell of a lot of optimism. Looking at puts, you see a consensus for it to be sub $5. So you have both opposite spectrums. So we'll just have to wait and see, but that does mimic exactly this. So the implied move is very much there. So a lot of volatility is anticipated, and you can kind of see last earnings wasn't necessarily taken the most positively from the broader market. So it's kind of hit and miss, right? Historically, 2 weeks after their earnings, it usually goes plus 20 or negative 10 in either direction. So that could, who knows what that'll bring, but big money is starting to look at SoundHound a little bit more. Today seems to be a lot of selling, so kind of just piggybacking off of what is happening based on the bid they ask and the selling price. Everything that does show as a bid is a sell. So like I said, a lot of selling happening, even a big one, 3.95 million. But yesterday there was a overwhelming amount of buying, just piggybacking again off of the FOMO that's been really in the market over the last little bit. Dark pool has been very popular, so dark pool is often enough linked to shorting, but interesting point though, there hasn't been any transactions on the dark pool today. So maybe shorts just did not wake up today and they're just waiting for SoundHound's earnings just to kind of decide whether they're going to double down or not. But the fact that, yeah, they're only increasing 2,000 shares, that might be retail, and they're not using the dark pool to hide their transactions or anything. So kind of a unique circumstance right now with it at $7.38 though. It is right above this R1. So 735 is going to be a strong support that you'll want to watch for. And then 789 and 877 are going to be the next strong target / resistance. Flip side, 648 and then 560 are going to be the next strong support levels. Based on the implied move, kind of anticipate almost all of this to be touched with the exception of this S2 and this S3. So just anticipate a lot of volatility, but as I've said, I've actually grown to really like SoundHound because the fundamental business is good. A lot of the recent news, with the exception of that prospectus, kind of does show that this should be easily double digits. The only negative side of this is the fact that it's heavily shorted. So I think shorts do make up for the majority of the volume, and obviously whenever they make up the majority of the volume, like shorts get to dictate what does happen. So it's hopefully this upcoming earnings is going to set the trajectory for it to just move higher and stay there, because I don't think a lot of people like the excessive volatility that is surrounded by SoundHound. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Are you buying into their earnings? Are you doing options? And if so, what strike price, what expiry date are you picking? Are you bullish, bearish? What is your viewpoint on all of that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then 2 things I want to share with you. Take advantage of this because it gives you 8 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. That is a must take advantage of deal, only up until November the 30th. And then aside from that, I do have memberships. So if you like the channel, want to support the growth, you can definitely join as a member. Plus, I actually do have buy signals on stocks and options. I have a private Discord, and this is where I was screaming that SoundHound was a buy. I've been saying that time and time again under that private Discord. So yeah, it's definitely, it's good. So let me know your thoughts. Take advantage of that membership as well. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.